and how you're all doing this evening. Lots to talk about. We will be taking some of your calls through Discord as well. The link is in the video description if you want to join that. But let's fly into the breaking topical news, and then maybe you can call in and have your say about Solskjaer, about Manchester United and the current situation. The first thing we're going to start off with is this this sort of, well, breaking news today that the Pogba injury, which I think most of us have actually come to accept now anyway, is going to be another setback. He actually called into ESPN, I think, yesterday to speak to his brother who was on in France, and he said on there that he's going to be in a cast for another 10 days. So this mysterious injury that Pogba has had that was never meant to be this long. Remember, they had this quote about a week or two ago that this is an injury where the specialists don't know how long it's going to take. It's in the mind of the player. Nobody's disputing that there's an injury there, but it's a very frustrating one, and it must be a massive one for Solskjaer and Woodward, who refused to sell him in the summer and get replacements in and thought they could build a season behind Pogba, who didn't want to be here. Silly mistake. It's come back to bite them. He's going to be in a cast for another 10 days, and the feeling is that he may not be back for another 4 weeks, which sounds like a long time, 4 weeks, and it is. It's almost a month, but the reality is, if you look at United's next few games, we've got Partizan Belgrade at home, we've got Brighton at home, we've then got a 2-week international break, and then we've got Sheffield United followed by Astana away. And he might miss Villa at home after that, but he might be back for that. So realistically, it's not. Well, we've been doing it without Pogba for a long time now, so we're going to have to continue to do it. I just feel that with Paul Pogba, he's probably going to go anyway. I mean, what bargaining tool do you have as a United fan, actually? I mean, where do you stand on Pogba? Just very quickly, because I want to move through the topics quickly tonight and get your calls. But where do you stand with Paul Pogba now? I think for me in the summer, I would have sold him. Not because I didn't like him, just because I think 3 years in, we're back in the Europa League. It's not worked out for him. We should have let him go in the summer. I think that was the mature thing to do. Get the money, let him go, build. We didn't do that. We kept him. And I think that the reality is that what bargaining tool have United got to keep Pogba at United long term? If he's sat there, and I'm sure he's an intelligent guy, watching what we're watching, he must be going, this is getting worse, I need to get out of here quick. That's what I would think Pogba's going to do. So the only way he's going to stay here is if we chuck loads of money at him, and that's a stupid thing to do because we've been doing that for 6 years. And also, Pogba over the last 3 years has been Mr. Inconsistent. Brilliant, but also awful. So realistically, Pogba's gone anyway, isn't he? So that's what I think about it. Carmichael says the same. Keep him, says Joe O'Sullivan. But Joe, would you keep him just to make him stay for a load of money? I mean, is that the sort of player we want at United? You get one message from the club, and then you get another. Pogba in, says Abdullah. Pogba out, says Bishop. I don't think I'm not driving an agenda against Pogba here. I really like Pogba as a footballer. I just think that we need to move on as a football club, and I think he needs to move on as a player as well, if I'm totally fair. But yeah, Pogba not going to be back for 4 weeks by the looks of it, which actually sounds bad, but ultimately we'll only miss probably 2 Premier League games and maybe Villa at the start of December. Remember, we play Manchester City on December the 7th. You would hope that he would be back for that, which is about 5 weeks away. So, interesting on Pogba. He's going to be in a cast for another 10 days and then hopefully be back in 4 weeks. That's the latest on him. A long time out. When did he last play for United? It's been a very long injury, isn't it? And as I said there, before I move on, I mean, how embarrassing is this for Woodward and the club? You know, you force a player to stay. He's not for sale. He's not for sale. He wants to go. He's not for sale. Mina Raiola says he wants to go. He's not for sale. He's not for sale. We start the season and then he misses 2.5 months. It's just embarrassing. Oh, we're such a strong... You know, no one messes around with Manchester United. We're not going to sell Paul Pogba. You can't have him. Yeah, he's injured, Ed. Don't care. We win. We won that war. We look at Real Madrid now. They're not laughing now, are they? The smile's on the other side of their face. Because look at us with Pogba. We're sat here. Yeah, Red, we're in mid-table. Yeah, but we kept Pogba. And you bought no other midfielders. Yeah, but we kept Pogba. I showed them we won't sell. You didn't want to be here, Ed, either. Yeah, but I didn't sell him. The fans said you should have sold him. Yeah, but I didn't sell him. I'm off to flex my muscles in the mirror. I'm the man. Ed Woodward. And off he walks. So yeah, I mean, it has backfired. Bad time, hasn't it? But anyway, let me just talk about something else. I thought this story I read this morning was like from the Daily Mirror or something. It's from the Manchester Evening News, and I think the Manchester Evening News is part of the Mirror Group actually. But Manchester Evening News has sources close to Manchester United. So I'm going to tell you this story. But Nick P says, Mark, we said for years now, Pogba's the icing on the cake of a very good team. We're just not ready for him, and he was never really right for us. And I think that is absolutely spot on. Smash a like on the video, by the way. But this story this morning came out that I read it in glancing, and then I researched it later in the afternoon. But I read it in glancing at lunchtime that Woodward wanted to get Varane and Verratti, but Mourinho said no. And what I would say here is, how many transfer stories have you heard about Manchester United today? How many have you heard? Because I've heard about 6. I've heard Timo Werner. I've heard this one. I've heard Sancho. I've heard about 6. 6. But I predicted it this morning. Go and check my Twitter feed. I predicted it this morning. I said, what are the chances that we go and get a load of transfer stories leaked in the press today to detract from the absolute chaos that's going on in the pitch and the loss from the weekend? And lo, it happens all the time. I'm only surprised we're not signing Bale. I'm surprised that one didn't come out today, because that's an old one they normally use. But when I actually read this story, it was from the Manchester Evening News, and they are saying the Manchester Evening News understands this scenario, which makes me think, well, if Manchester Evening News are saying understands, I think they're getting this from the club. I think this is propaganda again from the club. So Manchester Evening News are saying that in 2018, the summer before, Ed Woodward wanted Verratti and Varane. And Mourinho didn't say no to it. He said he didn't feel it was possible for it to be done. Well done, Jose Mourinho. As if we're going to get Varane and Verratti. I mean, and I think that's the truth of the story. But the way it's been spun is, the saviour, the genius that is Ed Woodward, has said that he wanted Verratti and Varane, but Mourinho didn't want them. But when you read the story, it says that Woodward wanted put Verratti and Varane forward, and Mourinho basically went, "You're having a laugh, we'll never get them." That's the story. It wasn't that Mourinho went, "No, I don't want them," because everybody knows Mourinho's a huge fan of Varane. So yeah, there's so much going out there at the moment. There's so much propaganda, and as I said last night, I'm not going to get angry and frustrated tonight. But the reality is this: that Manchester United are throwing so much positivity out there to try and twist the situation, and I wish they'd put more effort into actually resolving the problems that the world and his dog and cat, I don't want to be exclusive, can see. United are in a mess, an absolute mess, and instead of putting out positivity there, I mean, I saw Rashford, and I'm not getting in on Rashford here. What I would say is that Joe Holdway says, "Can you check your Instagram? Messaged you on there, mate. It's about the Christmas party in regards to the hotel and stuff, and Ollie can turn this around." I'll try and check, Joe, on my Instagram. I'm not very good on Instagram, to be honest with you, but I'll try and check that for you. But yeah, so Marcus Rashford has tweeted out that we've got 2 home games coming up. We've got to make the most of it. We go again, all that same sort of nonsense that we get all the time. A lot of people going on Rashford. Well, there's 2 things with that. One, don't ever think that because they're a professional footballer, they've got a brain. And 2, don't ever think because they're a professional footballer, they're running their own social media. Most of them don't run it, so it's probably not even Marcus Rashford putting that out. It's a very nice picture of him with a very positive tweet. I doubt Rashford sat there at home tonight watching Countdown going, oh, that's a nice picture and that's a nice tweet. I doubt he's done it. And even if he has done it, it's a bit naive, but I doubt he has done it. And even if he has done it, the reality is this is not washing with fans anymore. These positive messages, these links to players, these "we go again" messages. And I feel sorry for Harry Maguire because he does it all the time. And as a new signing, we sort of have to go, "Oh, right, he's new, he doesn't know." But actually, probably should figure it out now. It's we've been having this for 6 years, Harry. We've had 6 years of, we have a bad result, we're buying Bale, we're buying Sancho, we're buying somebody else, which we never do. We've had a bad result, half the team comes out with a nice picture going, "We go again next week." It's a setback. It's not a setback, it's a consistent failure on every single level within that football club. And where people think we're going to get this consistency from really worries me. These players that keep tweeting out about, "we've had a bad result, it's important to bounce back again." When have you bounced back? Let's call a spade here. When have you bounced back? You had 3 months with Ollie where you bounced very, very high, and then you didn't hit the floor. You went through the floor, through the cellar, and you're tickling Kylie's feet. In Australia, you went that low. So, we haven't bounced back. We're not going to bounce back with this squad. I've said it so many times, and so have you. 600 million, 10 players out, 10 players in, and a total restructure from top to bottom would give us a half chance of getting close to Man City and Liverpool. Are we going to spend 600 million with this regime? No. Are we going to sell 10 players with this regime? No. Are we going to sign 10 players? No. Are we going to restructure the club from top to bottom? No. So we're not going to improve. What we are going to see is little blips, good couple of results, and then another loss. You can't trust the process with Manchester United. We are specialists in being inconsistent, and unfortunately, instead of being inconsistent, we're now, I think when under Mourinho and Van Gaal, we were a bit like this. good, middle, good, middle. That was the graph. It was very inconsistent between drawing and winning, and left there. With Ollie, we're down this way: lose, win, draw, win, lose. It's a bad run, and that's what we're in. But it makes me laugh that these players and the club keep putting out this positive spin. Oh, we're going to sign this player. Oh, we're going to, we need to bounce back. But when you look at the consistency, this is not going to happen with this setup. It's just not. And I'm not talking about players. I'm not talking about Ollie. I'm talking about all the way up and down through that whole club. It's not right. There's no leaders in the team. There's no leaders in the coaching setup, and there's no leaders at the top. And that's the problem. Is I think people need to wake up to that. Is that for all the hope that we have, let's be real. Unless there is a major overhaul of that playing squad and major investment and restructuring of the club, it isn't going to happen. Humi says the price of Pogba is shooting down every game. He don't play, and as each month passes, you will never get the same amount Real was offering in the summer. We will. Paul Pogba's still a very valuable asset, and mainly because of his merchandise as well. But Paul Pogba's still a good player. He's not going to disappear just because of that. That's not what's going to happen at all. His value will, whether we'd get 150 million, his value will decrease slightly because his contract runs down a little bit, but that's about it. What I would say is that, and it's sort of directed with this, if you're talking about Pogba's stock falling, how many of you are as confident as you were in the summer when we were linked to Jadon Sancho, when we were linked to Timo Werner? I mean, do you really think we can sign Jadon Sancho anymore? That's the biggest problem with United, is that towards the end of last season, and pretty much always over the last 6 years, we've always felt we've got a chance. I mean, Ed Woodward himself, Manchester United can do anything in the market, flexing their muscles again. Yeah, but it's not. We're not capable of doing anything in this transfer market because we've heard the rumours. We heard the rumour about Sancho in March, that he wanted to come to United, but he didn't like the fact that we weren't in the Champions League and it was majorly unstable as a football club. Well, applaud him if that's right, because we're not in the Champions League. We're not going to be in the Champions League next year, and we're even more unstable than we were in March. Who would have predicted that? So I think this is becoming a problem. And I was looking tonight on some Chelsea fans talking on Twitter, and they're saying, yeah, we need to go and get Jadon Sancho. That's a club that he will go to. He won't come to Manchester United in this current state where we're sinking. We've been thinking that we're trying to climb out of this quicksand over the last 6 years. We're actually not even trying to climb out at the moment. We're just sort of going, that's what's happening. We're not going to get out. So we won't be getting these sort of players that we thought we could get in the summer anymore, because we're just not going to be able to retract them. I know Brendan Rodgers was speaking very interestingly, actually. I think it was in an interview he did yesterday or maybe today. A very good interview, and he was like, the thing is, the big clubs, i.e. Manchester United, a few years ago, they'd be able to come and knock on Leicester's door and say, we want James Maddison, there's the money, and it's done. But the thing is now, you've got, and he quoted, you've got Shaqiri going from Bayern Munich to Stoke. Football's changed in the Premier League. Everybody's got the money. So it's not as straightforward for a big club to just come and get whatever player they want now. Where they can do it is if they knock on the door and say, we can pay you double the wages, triple the wages you're on at Leicester City, and then a player might go. But they said, Vardy never left Leicester, but other players might go. Harry Maguire did. So it's not as easy to get those players out there now. And what Brendan Rodgers is saying is basically they're going to go for the money. And again, that's a problem, isn't it? So, but I just think that it's getting harder for Manchester United in relation to what we're going to recruit, because players are going to look after their careers. And you can say, well, a player will always go to Manchester United, but look at Memphis Depay. He's sort of the biggest one, really. Memphis Depay, one of the biggest talents in Europe. Everybody wanted him. We got him. He came to us. He wasted 2 years. It didn't work out. He's now back at Lyon. Well, Lyon, he's doing all right there, and I think he'll get another shot, but it didn't work out well. So if you are a player that's maybe even a James Maddison, although I think he would come to United, but if you're a Jadon Sancho or something like that, and you go, United's a big, big risk. Liverpool want me. I'm off there. Mark, kind of feel hopeless at the moment. Is there anything that can make us fans positive again? Cheers from South Africa, says Keegan Pillai. And Sanuj Battler says, sell the club to the Saudis. That's how we can stop this free fall of the club. And Sergey Mamadov says, Mark, are you not saying Ollie out because you want to get rid of Ed Woodward first, but we need to sack them both? Yeah, I am saying that. And I do have a problem saying Ollie out. I think everybody knows that. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I'm old school. I remember what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to the club. I know it's wrong. I just don't want to say it. But as I said, I would agree with this, that, you know, I agree that some people want Ollie out. I agree with that. I think the stats are terrible. But I also agree that if you did sack him, you're still going to be left with a major problem. You know, you're still going to have what I said before. You're going to still have a load of players that shouldn't be here. You're still going to need to spend 600 million. You're still going to have the same board above them. So yeah, getting rid of Ollie is part of the problem potentially, but you've still got loads of players that shouldn't be here. You've still got loads of players that need to be here, and you've still got a board that shouldn't be here either. So yeah, I mean, look, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked, and I don't think he will, but if we get to that point where Ole gets sacked, I don't think it will be like Mourinho, where we go, yeah, we've got rid of Jose, or yeah, we've got rid of Van Gaal. It shouldn't be that. I wouldn't be there. You know, when Mourinho got sacked, I was happy, I was excited. It was before Christmas. You know, we finally got rid of him. I think if we did sack Ollie, and I'm not crying, I've got a bit of a cold. If we did sack Ollie, I don't think I'd be going, yeah, let's go and see what we do next. I think I would be saying, this is really sad, and it's not enough. You know, we now need to turn our attention to Woodward and the board and the players. You know, I think this time, if we do sack Ollie, it can't just be rejoicing, let's see what happens with the next manager. Because it's happened 4 times now, and there's too many obvious problems at the club. Paul Gill says, Mark, why are we so weak that we don't protest every home game against the Glazers and Woodward? We as fans can get them out if we stop putting money in their pockets. You must agree it's time to act now. Paul, I've said this so many times, and there are brilliant fans out there really trying to get this off the ground, and you know, this is not going to please people, but I have to be consistent with it and say, they won't get it off the ground. They won't get it off the ground. There's so many reasons they won't get it off the ground, but there are a lot of... Look, there are a lot of United websites. There are a lot of United fanzines. There are a lot of United YouTube channels. And unfortunately, operating in that world that I do, is people... Everyone thinks they're better. Everyone thinks they're a better top red than everybody else. So how can you unite everybody when there's so much disaffection and fracture within our fan base? On top of that, you've then got fans who go to Old Trafford who are basically tourists, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean the fans that maybe come over from Mexico or China or India, you know, like a pilgrimage really. There's a high percentage of fans in Old Trafford each week who don't go every game. They're just there for the tour and their first ever game. You know, are they going to not turn up when it's their first game, or you know, they only go there a couple of times a year? And also, I think there is an apathy as well. I think there are fans who just don't want to be that club that don't do that. So uniting everybody is very hard. So it's always going to work out well for them. United will rise again only if the Saudis buy United to Zilla United. Just on a positive though, because I think positivity is important, because there are some fans out there who are still very positive. I'm not going to say anything other than that. The positive is that we're Manchester United fans. I know not everybody is, but the positive is we're Manchester United fans, and Manchester United is never going to go anywhere. And we have to be vocal about our unhappiness. But the positive for me is that I have Manchester United in my life. I love Manchester United Football Club. I love what we are, and you know what. It's not a good situation, and you've got to, whenever you're passionate about something, you're going to be openly honest about how you feel about it. And there's a lot of bad things going on at the moment. Manchester United is still here. Manchester United is still our club, and that's a positive. It surely is. You know, Manchester United have been relegated before. Leeds United have been relegated. Man City have been relegated. Liverpool have been 30 years without a title. You know, every club has carried its problems. Which is why I'm very vocal about that we don't go 30 years without a title, that we don't get relegated, because that's unforgivable for Manchester United Football Club. But we still have our club. And also, what I also think is ridiculous at the moment, and I really do think this is coming from somewhere, I said it last night. Again, I've had a day full of people talking about 1989. 1989. And you know, I've said this so many times, I don't want to bore you, but different owners, manager with a CV, and it's 2019 now, and it's just, there's just no comparison. And then you've got people comparing us to Spurs. Like, how can you compare Manchester United's situation to Spurs' situation? Have Spurs got the 4th biggest wage bill in world football? No. Have Spurs won 20 Premier League titles, 20 titles? No. I don't care what, with all due respect, I don't mind Spurs as a football club, but I don't care what Spurs are doing. saying, oh, look at, well, Poch and Spurs are struggling. Since when have Spurs ever been on the same page as Manchester United Football Club? Have they got the revenue we've got? Have they got the squad that we've got? Have they got the wage bill that we've got? Have they got the history that we've got? Have they got the fan base that we've got? We should not be looking at Spurs and going, actually, our situation's okay because Spurs are failing as well. We're Manchester United. People need to, you know, it's not a knock on the door. They need a knock on the head. Hello, we're Manchester United. I'll keep saying this till the cows come home. And I can't hear them mooing yet. The reality is, and I've said that 100 times tonight, the reality is, but the reality is, Bayern Munich are the biggest club in Germany. Juventus are the biggest club in Italy. Barcelona and Real Madrid are the biggest clubs in Spain. And PSG are the biggest club in France. And Celtic are the biggest club in Scotland. And those clubs will always be the biggest clubs because when they fall on hard times, they will invest, they will make changes, they will make sure the structure's there to keep them at the top of their national league. Manchester United are the biggest club in England. We've been nowhere near winning it for the last 6 years and we're getting further and further away. It's not acceptable. 90% of Glazers out in the summer was only because of lack of transfers. As soon as windows closed, they all disappeared. Dazu W, you're spot on. And I said that. Everyone was like, Mark, why aren't you Goldbridge out? Some people are. Why are you not Glazers out? And I said, because I don't trust it. I think it's all about transfers, and when the transfer window closes, they'll disappear. And they did. And imagine if I'd have been there in the summer with my green and gold scarf going, Glazers out, Glazers out. Follow me up to Old Trafford. We're on the way up the M6. And then I get there and there's only 2 people behind me. Why do you not go to games with Flex Positivity TKS, says Johnson FGA? Because I do watch-alongs, mate. I've said this many a time. I don't know whether you're trying to be a little bit of a troll there, but it's been said many times. Ali Games says, Pogba is sold already, 100%. I don't think we'll see him in a United shirt. I just wish we replace him with 2 solid players. Cheers, Mark. Ali. Cheers, Ali. No, I disagree with you on that one. Thanks for the contribution, but I disagree with you on that. I definitely think we'll see Paul Pogba in a United shirt again. I do think he'll be sold, but I don't think he'll be sold in January. I think that's a little bit of hyperbole, not from you, Ali, but from it is floating around a bit. He hasn't played his last game for United. I think he will play again. My toes are really itchy and stinky, says Pure Gaming. You can always rely on him. Well, maybe if you supported it, it would have lasted, says Rahan Williams. Absolute nonsense. I'm absolutely honest with people about this Glazers out thing. I've always been Glazers out. I never wanted to. I never wanted them to take over the club, but I was honest in the summer. I didn't trust the Glazers out movement in the summer that was trending on Twitter. I thought it would be short-lived, and it has been short-lived. And a lot of the people I spoke to about it have stopped doing it because of that. So I don't think there's a United fan who isn't Glazers out, because ultimately nobody wanted the Glazers to buy us. They bought us on debt. They've bled us dry. They're not United fans. Nobody wants them, but I don't think anybody really seriously wants to do anything about it. And I'm certainly not going to try and start doing it. I've got way too many things going on to try and bang my head against the wall and get United fans to start not going to games, etc. It's not going to happen. And I know that sounds really very defeatist, but they know it's not going to happen as well. I would follow you anywhere, Mark, says Murray. Thank you, Murray. And Sergey Mamadov says, I agree with Paul, Mark. At least we should try to change something and battle for our club. Enough is enough. I can't stand the fact that people are giving up. Well, apathy reigns, unfortunately, and it makes me very angry as well. So what else? There's loads and loads to talk about, to be honest with you. We've done the Verratti and Varane. We've done Sancho. I mean, look, just to go through some of the transfer news that's sort of floating around in case you're interested. Apparently, Inter Milan don't want Matic anymore. Great. And ruined my Christmas and the kids. Thanks, Inter Milan. They're crying. And Rabiot could be coming to Manchester United, which is just crazy. And also Jovic from Real Madrid. I mean, that's just another 2. I mean, how many? We already on this show, we've spoken about 5 transfer rumours from today. And there probably is another 7 or 8. It's ridiculous. Oh, we lost at the weekend and we're a terrible football club. Oh, just throw them a bone. Throw the United fans some crappy transfer news and they'll all be smiling again, lapping it up like this. Give me more stories. Give me more stories. Doesn't matter about Bournemouth. Forget it. I'm growling. I'm growling. I'm not happy with your rubbish transfer stories. Like, why would Jovic be coming to Manchester United? He's only just gone to Real Madrid. Why would Rabiot come to Manchester United? He was a free agent in the summer. We wanted him. He went to Juventus. He's only started 3 times and he wants to move again. There's 2 big things for me there. 1, you rejected us in the summer. 2, oh, you now want to move because Juventus aren't playing you. Oh, wait a minute. I wonder why Juventus aren't playing you, mate. Is it because you're not good enough? Oh, please do come to us, your second choice. Please do come here. And guess what? We'll pay you loads of money and we'll pay Juventus a transfer fee. No, you've had your chance. You're clearly not good enough. Forget about it. That's what I feel about Rabiot. But there wasn't. I'm going to start taking some of the calls. Thomas Hodgkinson says, if you had cash like the Glazers, what would you do? Well, I don't know how much cash the Glazers actually have, to be honest with you. I don't know how much they have. But if I was a billionaire, and I am a Manchester United fan, and I've said this before, if I was a billionaire and I had 5 billion, I would buy Manchester United, and I'd buy them for about 3 billion, so I'd still have 2 billion left. I'd buy Manchester United, and I would let the club. My gift of that would be to let that club just run itself. That's what I would do. I would want them to go and spend their profits to get the club back to where it needs to be. And when it's back where it needs to be, I would do one of two things. I would sell it to somebody else at a profit, as long as I knew that person was going to do the same thing as me. Or I would probably start to take, from the massive amount of profit I'm making for the club, I would start to rebuild the ground and infrastructure. But that's what it needs. Manchester United, Man City's owners are so rich, they don't really need to make money off Man City. It's a status thing. But they probably will start to make some money from Man City, and they may well make their investment back at some point if Man City keep dominating. The problem with the Glazers is they bought us on debt, and they're businessmen. That's the thing. They're not a billionaire coming in because they like the club and they want the status of the club and they want the club to run itself, and they want to reap the benefits of being the owner of that. The Glazers are businessmen who don't support us, don't like football, and just bought us because it was a business that was going to make a lot of money. Absolute ruthless businessmen. LFC rebuilding started from when the bad owners left, not when Klopp started. Since Dalglish is when it started. Club put the icing on the cake, says Josh Paul. It's sad that so many people over the weekend really genuinely thought that there was something in the Saudi Arabia thing, and I really wish that there was. United are so boring, I'd rather watch 90 minutes of you than one of our games, says Message of the Messengers. Well, I think actually 90 minutes of me is probably better than even Prime United, but I'm biased. We are the next AC Milan, says Fast Eddie. Pogba out, stop his wages, doesn't care about the badge, says Simon Gibson. Controversial, I don't necessarily agree with that. I really don't, if I'm honest with you. All right, I do want to start taking some of your calls because I've had my say, and I'm sure the calls are going to bring some more interesting points in. But one thing I do want to say, and thoughts on Dylan Livett, says Louis25. I think, look, I don't want to start talking about individual players because I made this mistake at the start of the season and I always put my hands up. I was like, why isn't Gomez playing? Why isn't Chong playing? Why isn't Greenwood playing? And the reality is, this dependence on youth is not the right time. It's not the right time. It doesn't matter how good your youth players are. It's not the right time to be chucking them in because the club is a mess. The senior players are a joke, and it's really unfair on young players to get thrown into that pressure cooker environment. A young player should come into a team and not have the burden of expectation on them. They should come in and play freely and be like, play with freedom. Don't play with pressure. And the thing is, I really like Brandon Williams, and I really like Mason Greenwood, and I really like Axel Tuanzebe. And I like McTominay, but I do feel that they have so much pressure on them now because we're sort of looking at them to be the saviour of the club because we've lost total trust in everybody else. But that presents its own problem because a youth player, by its own definition, will be inconsistent. They need time. So talking about bringing in another youth player, we're treating them like saviours, and it's not fair. Who says football to people is escapism. It is entertainment. It's a business. It's supposed to take you away from mundane life. It's not supposed to be like this. And I think you're right. I was thinking this last night. There will be an end point for me with the United stand. There won't be an end point for the United stand, but there will be an end point for me because it does, like it does for you, it drains you. And I do this every single night, and sometimes twice a day, and watch-alongs and that, and it's not enjoyable. And I will never stop watching Manchester United, but it's not enjoyable to just constantly be moaning. And that's what the club are inflicting on us. And Humi is right, it should be escapism. We're not getting much escapism anymore. And, look at the difference in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from when he came in. He's aged in 8 months by 5 years. And I think I have over the last 3 years. I saw some footage of me 3 years ago and I was like, how have I aged so much in 3 years? And a lot of it is to do with, the demands of doing the show, obviously, but also the demands of bloody Manchester United just not providing you with any happiness. It should be escapism, you're right. Right. What I did want to talk about was Marcus Rashford. Do you think that there is an over-reliance on Marcus Rashford from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I was reading this from Garth Crooks, not the singer, the ex-Spurs player who does a bit with the BBC, and he normally talks out his backside. But, you know, I always say, if a pundit says something interesting, I will give him a shout-out, because I normally shout them out for being incompetent. And he said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer almost seems to have a strange obsession with Marcus Rashford, in that, you know, clearly Rashford's not been that great this season, but he over the last 8 months, but he's constantly using him. But then on the other hand, he always says he's a young player and he's not the finished person yet. So I think that Rashford does play too much, if I'm honest, and I think there is an over-reliance on a player and there is a pressure on him. And let's not forget, when you talk about Dylan Levitt or you talk about Brandon Williams or Scott McTominay, well, Rashford's younger than McTominay, but he's assumed to be this young player. There is a demand on him, definitely, without question of a doubt. 2018, 50 million profit, revenue 794. We are not run well, says JA. Smokey123 says Pogba doesn't want to play. It's simple. Please remember to smash a like on the video, everybody. Emo says, please Mark, don't leave the channel. Not the same without you. Well, nothing ever lasts forever. Echo and the Bunnymen with a bit of a cameo from Liam Gallagher. One of my favourite songs, that is. Nothing ever lasts forever. Martial is incredibly overrated by so many fans, says Christopher Dannison. I'm just about to take the first call, but you've reeled me in with your bait. I'm a big Martial fan. I think Martial's probably our best player at Manchester United, talent-wise. It doesn't surprise me that he's getting a bit of stick the last couple of days, but I can't understand the logic behind it. What was Anthony Martial, Daniel James and Marcus Rashford supposed to do at the weekend with zero service? Like, how is Rashford being criticised? Martial being... Well, you can include Rashford and James in that if you want. How are they being criticised after the weekend results against Bournemouth? Like, Martial played really well against Norwich. He didn't really play against Chelsea. He plays against Bournemouth and people are like, oh, he's overrated, he's crap, he's lazy. All the same old cliches again. And I'm like, but Martial had no service against Bournemouth. Like, I'd love us to put Harry Kane up front for United at the moment, or Aubameyang up front, or Aguero up front. You know, put one of those proven Premier League strikers up front for United and watch them put in a 5 out of 10 performance, because they'll get no service. Like, a striker needs service. The midfield would destructively terrible. Fred and Pereira and McTominay were absolute pants against Bournemouth. Pereira just had a bad game, and I think McTominay and Fred suffered from having to play a very energetic side, having played 3 games in 6 days. But there was no service for Martial. So to say Martial that Martial is poor is unfair. For once in my life, I don't know what the hell is going on at United, says Joe Raymond. Well, let's see what other people think, because I did say I would get some callers on. I'm actually just going to get Paul on first, because he's been getting a few shout outs in the live comments. Evening, Paul. How you doing?
Yeah, good mate. You?
Yeah, I thought I could see people going, Paul's the best moderator, he talks so much sense, but I kept missing what you were talking about. So, you know, enlighten us. How are you feeling at the moment?
About what?
Life. Eastern Manchester United, obviously.
Yeah, just disillusioned. I just wrote in the chat earlier, Mark, that I feel quite detached at the moment from Man United. I feel that, like, this is quite deep, but you know, emotionally, or I'm not reading the papers that I normally read. I'm not following up like I normally do, because it's the same shit. Excuse my French. I know what's going to be printed. I know what's going to be said. I know what's going to come out from Ed Woodward. I know what's going to be put in the media. I know what's going to be leaked. Do you not feel that? Do you not feel it's the same thing, like on a rotation, and you just know what's going to be there? It's kind of like watching the football. You know, it's going to be a win, a draw, a loss, a win, a draw, a loss. It's I don't know. It's very difficult to feel really, really connected to Man United at the moment.
I think that's a brilliant point. And Blake the Third says Anthony Martial could be our next Ronaldo. I think you're going to get a bit of stick for that, Blake, but I wouldn't go that far. But you're right. I think you have hit the nail on the head there. So people are probably right about, you know, what they were saying in the live comments about you making a good comment, because it's true. Like, the positive is we're Manchester United fans and that will never change, but unfortunately we are sort of run by, and I would include Ollie in this, and I would include the players in it. You know, the players with their constant tweets about We've got 2 games coming up. Let's go again. Well, this has been happening for 3 or 4 years now. The constant crappy transfer stories after a bad result, that's been happening for years now. The fact that we're run by people who don't even support us, who just want the pounds out of our pocket, that's been going on for years now. This constant nonsense about the future in 1989 and everything like that. Again, I remember every time a manager's in trouble, whether it's Moyes, Van Gaal or Mourinho, we always get rolled out. Remember 1989, and this is why I think it is boring, Paul, because it's the same thing getting rolled out. So you just feel detached. You're like, there's nothing new coming out from the club.
No, there isn't, and I just feel I don't even get angry about it anymore. I've come to expect it, so therefore I've accepted it. But what makes me angry is I think this is, a part of the plan from the club. The lower the expectations, the more we'll accept lower expectations. The less results, the more we'll expect less results. And you're quite right. You say you cannot let your standards slip just because we have let them slip for such a long time. You have to keep the bar high. And I feel as if our bar is being lowered every single day, like Chinese water torture, drip by drip.
It is working as well.
We let it drop, and then finally, I find myself thinking, well, if we draw with Bournemouth, then it's a half decent result. It really isn't. I mean, I have had my standards lowered, and you were right when you said it the other day, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, this is, we're accepting a hell of a lot here when we really should not be. I mean, I'm not asking everyone to pick up pitchforks and rage against the machine, but if you step back and put a bit of perspective on it, we're 10th in the league. We're being promised a hell of a lot and nothing's being delivered. We're not spending any money, and we're playing rubbish football. And we're like, well, yeah, give it 3 years and we'll be all right. It can't take 3 years. The only reason it will take 3 years, or 6 windows, we can spend 6 windows worth of money in 2 windows. Why don't we do that? What's so hard? I mean, this 6 window thing is because we haven't got enough money. We know we have. Anyway, that's my rant. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, am I as involved in United as I used to be? Yes, I am. But you just feel a little bit detached at the moment because there's nothing really to grab hold of. I can't see a way forward at the moment, and that's what I need to see. So, yeah, that's my emotional spiel.
Thanks, Paul. Very good point as well, and I think it's something that a lot of fans will resonate with as well. I will get some of the callers on, but thanks for calling in, pal.
All right, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. And I think Paul's spot on. I think Paul is absolutely spot on. I think that... well, let me just read this from Paul Gill, actually. He says, Mark, from one Paul to another. Bayern sacked their manager yesterday after they won the double last season, but we stick with Ollie despite the fact he is drowning and we are playing like a relegation team right now. This scares me. Well, this is what I mean. I don't necessarily mean sack Ollie, but just the way the club is run from top to bottom. We're not run like the biggest club in England or one of the biggest clubs in the world. Look at what Real Madrid will do if Zidane loses more games or Barcelona lose more games. They'll sack them. They'll do it very, very quickly. Juventus would do the same. Bayern Munich have done it. PSG would do the same. Manchester United are bigger than PSG. Manchester United are bigger than Juventus. Manchester United are probably bigger than Bayern Munich. Real Madrid and Barcelona, let's have an argument. But we're bigger than some of those clubs. But we don't act like them because we're not run like them. We're run like a bloody business that just wants to save money. Russell Thompson, thank you. You're the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And Nick P says, I really thought Ollie's experience of being an ex-striker, some would say our greatest poacher, would rub off on our forward line, especially Rashford. Yeah, it's a good point, Nick P. But just to pick up on what Paul was saying there, I mean, that is the big issue. And this is the draining thing, is that we can keep saying for as long as we want to say that this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. But we're not in charge of the club. The people in charge of the club are the Glazers, are Woodward, are the players, and Ollie. They're the ones who directly impact on what happens with that football club. And they're the ones who've got to make the change happen. We as fans can't make the change happen for the reasons we spoke about a few minutes ago. We'll never be able to do it. So we are, as much as we are resisting and saying this is not acceptable, this is not acceptable, there isn't the weight of frustration and vocality against the situation now. And the press have sort of hinted at it as well. I read a story the other day, and they're like, the interesting thing with United is that if it was Van Gaal in charge, or it was Mourinho in charge, and United were 11 games in with 13 points, and basically a bottom half team getting beaten by Bournemouth and West Ham and Newcastle, there would be outrage to sack the manager. But because the Glazers have constructed this situation, the buffer of having a legend there that no one wants to go in on, that protects them, everybody sat there as a fan knowing this isn't acceptable, but just sort of going, well, nothing's going to change. It's horrible, isn't it? But what's going to happen? And that's the situation we're in. And then the really tiring thing is you get people like myself who just say, I will not let this club lower my expectations. We're Manchester United. We should be fighting for the title every year. We should be one of the biggest clubs in the world because we are. I'm not accepting this. But you have to keep reminding yourself about it. And also it's very draining. It's very draining to have to keep getting yourself up to basically just moan. Like, you basically, you know, most fans at the moment are like not happy, but they're sat there not happy, but what's going to happen about it? I've just got to put up with it. Even though it's the worst situation we've been in my lifetime. I don't remember 1986. I was too young. So this is the worst situation as a United fan I've ever known. And I've been far more vocal about things that have happened other than now. So I do have to just, every now and again I'll go, no, I'm going on the show tonight and I'm going to really rant about how this is not acceptable, how this is our club being absolutely destroyed. But it's tiring because nothing's changing in where it needs to be, like the structure of the club, the playing staff, the retention of crap players, the poor tactics, whatever it is. There's loads of negatives at United. It's so draining. It's so draining to keep having to say this is not acceptable. And then you get people saying, oh, you're just moaning, you're just negative. And I'm like, but I'm trying to do something that we all should be doing. I'm trying to say this is unacceptable. I'm trying to get our club where it needs to be. And it probably will be in vain, but I can't let my expectations be lowered. We should be where Liverpool and Manchester City are. I mean, I was thinking this tonight. Liverpool or Man City will win the Premier League. Liverpool or Man City will probably win the Champions League. That's 2 years in a row that's happened. And they'll probably do it next year. So our big rivals, Liverpool, are probably going to eclipse us. And we had domination for over 20 years, but in a short period of time, Liverpool are probably going to win more Premier League titles than us if they get the first one done. They've already won more in the Champions League than us. And do they look like they're going anywhere? And Man City don't look like they're going anywhere anyway. And we are getting further and further behind. At least with Mourinho, and it was right to sack with Mourinho, at least with Mourinho he got us to second and you just hoped he was going to break this domination of City. And he didn't, and he got the sack. But now we're getting further and further away from where we were with Mourinho. At least with Mourinho, we were swimming in the deep end. In the shallows, trying to get out. Champions, podium. With Ollie, we're swimming against the tide and we're getting deeper and deeper. And that title's getting further and further away. But everyone else is going, it's fine. He's not drowning, he's fine. He's just getting his second wind. In 3 years, he's going to swim back quicker than Jose and get that podium. But we're getting further and further away. Matt Goodwin says, big Adidas slogan last year, primarily driven by Pogba, was we're here to create. He has created nothing but problems ever since announcing he wanted to leave. Don't even get me started on what Woodward has created. And ETB Wrestling Fig says, Ollie has had zero previous success. At least Lampard was fairly successful in the Championship. Yes, he's a legend, but he's not a top manager. Well, to be fair, he did win the Norwegian League with Mulder. So, you know, I can't be totally down on Ollie about that. Let's get another caller on. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, because I'm on the United Stand.
You are on the United Stand. What do you want to talk about, mate?
Just the club in general.
Yeah, go for it then.
I think we're in a very bad situation where I think the thing people saying that Ollie out, I'm Ollie out as well. But the problem I have is the fact that no manager, in my opinion, will want to come into this club and take on the situation with how bad we are, how bad the players are performing, with the mess we're in with the owners we have. And I think that game at the weekend just shows it, where we played very poor. I don't think we deserved to win. We didn't create enough chances to even win the game, in my opinion.
You know what?
So,
if you were are you Northern Irish or Southern Irish?
Southern.
Southern Irish. So you're Allegri with a Southern Irish accent. I'd love to hear that. Or you're Laurent Blanc, or whoever you are. And I'm Ed Woodward. I'll take on the villain, and I ring you up, and I say, "Do you want the United job?" You would take it, really.
I'd be I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say no. I'm going to be like, unless there's different owners and you give me this money I want, 300 million. Promise that you listen to what I say. Get a director of football, and then I'll take the job in.
Yeah, I'd agree. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I might be because I'm a little bit older. I don't know. I don't want to be ageist, but if you're Ed Woodward and I'm the manager, I would say I would take the job because I think with a lot of, and I know why I'd do it because it's ego. I love the club and I would believe I can be the man to change it. But I think you're right. I would fail, but I would still take it. So I do think that there are managers out there that would still take it. But you're right. They should be demanding all the things you've said there.
Yeah, it just, you're the master of analogies. I just thought of one and I like to say it.
Go on.
If that's okay. But so it's like the owners have said we're back in school, and they've said that we've learned division. We have to learn division again, even though long division is top 4. And we're like, wait, have we not already got top 4 consistently? Oh no, we have to get top 6. We have to learn division again. And then they're even backtrack and say that we need to learn subtraction, which is barely getting in top 10.
Very good. You're right. I said this last night. The rules have been rewritten on time. When they first came in, they said we need time, but that time was always about winning the league. Now we need time to get back to where we were 8 months ago. You're right. You're spot on.
Yeah, and the situation we're in is where like signings are going to be as clear as day, in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, the money wasn't there. Ollie's just sticking up for the club. I don't think we'll make a sign in January, and I think it'll be a panic bid. But you don't know because the club, I don't believe the club any words they're saying if you think about it, because they've said transfer speculation drive revenue, so they could be putting out Haaland, they could be putting out Mandzukic. Like, if you think about it, that's why I don't like believe any transfers anymore, really, and I don't like speculate.
No, I think we are lowering our expectations every single day, and I think it's really sad. Just very quickly, what's your feeling on the Pogba situation? Some people in the chats feel that he's doing it on purpose. Do you think he is? Do you think he is off? Do you think we will see him in the United shirt again?
See, I think he'd play another game, but the thing is, who wouldn't blame him if he didn't do it? It's not his fault that he wanted to be sold, that he wasn't even meant to be here. He was asked to be sold at the start of the transfer window. Like, truthfully, he could have been even worse about it. But I think he'd play again. But I think he needs to be sold, to be quite frankly. He should have been sold already. And that Bruno deal, or even we could have got Philip Cuckoo from AZ Alkmaar, is going to haunt us every day we play it because we don't have enough backup and sorry, I can't say that. But to have a full squad every game, in my opinion, we just have to play the same players over and over again, and it's killing our fitness.
And if you were the manager of Manchester United and I said, look, tomorrow 3 players, kick them out the door, which 3 players would you kick out the door, United?
Matic, in my opinion. I don't think he's good enough for Man United. Doesn't have the attitude, in my opinion. Ashley Young, in my opinion, get him out. That's what I would say. And Sanchez, because we have to remember that he might come back in January. They might take him off loan or so. So I'd kick him out as well. As much as we hate the pink boots from Phil Jones, I think I'd rather have Sanchez gone than him.
Very, very good call. Very good pace to your questions as well. I really appreciate it, and please do call in again.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Thanks. Thank you. The reason I asked that last question is I forgot we have got the United Stand Christmas party coming up on the 5th of December at Hotel Football. If you want to get your tickets, go to last night's video. So the last video, the link's in the video description there. But what we will be doing on the night is we're going to do a live United Stand show. We've got some guests coming as well. We're going to do some giveaways, but we're also going to do, just for a bit of fun, a United Stand end of year awards. You'll be voting in this. So if you click the eye in the top right hand corner, there is a poll for you to vote on who you think has had the worst year for Manchester United. Now, we didn't put Lukaku in there. We didn't put Sanchez in there. I don't know whether we put Pogba in there. We've done it based on like who's played a lot of games and you know who's been consistently bad the most. So the top 5 there. So get voting in the eye. We're going to have about 10 categories to announce on the night, and they're not going to be your normal bloody obvious ones. So do get voting and get yourself to the Christmas party if you can. Links in the video description of last night's video if you want to get yourself down for that. But yeah, fantastic call. Make sure you smash a like on the video for our callers. Humi says, seriously, maybe it's an age thing, but I yearn for the days of Kanchelskis, York and Cole and Sharp. It was exciting and fun, and now it's tiring and draining. You know what, Humi? I wish for those days, but we had those days, and that's the thing. At least we had those days. I feel sorry for these younger fans who don't remember these games that we had. I mean, I remember Lee Sharp scoring a couple of goals against Barcelona. Kanchelskis was very, very good. Dwight and York, Dwight and York. I remember when, like, I used to be watching it on teletext, and Dwight York first came on the scene for Villa. And I didn't really know all the players for Villa. And I actually thought Villa had a player called York and Dwight. I thought they were second names. I didn't realise his name was Dwight York. But yeah, at least we've had all those times. But it doesn't mean... What I would always say is it doesn't mean because we've had good times we should settle for the bad times. Because the thing about the bad times is that's very arrogant, isn't it? It's like the older generation. Well, I've had it good, so you can have it bad for the younger generation. I'm getting a bit political there, but the reality is, I've had good times as a Manchester United fan. Good enough times that I can live off them. I saw the treble live. It happened. I lived that year. It was amazing. I think if any other club gets that, great. Fair play to them. But it was an amazing time. But a lot of you didn't get that. A lot of you will maybe only be young enough to remember the bad times. So these plonkers who say, well, we've had it good, now we've got to have it bad. What an arrogant opinion to have. What an absolutely arrogant opinion to say, well, we've had it good, so I'll accept the bad times. Arrogance personified, because who are you to say it's okay that we're crap because I've had it good before? There'll be fans who didn't have it good. Why should they have it bad because you've had it good? United should always be good. That's the greed that we should have as a club. Mark Crisp says 91 to 99 was a golden era. It was very good, Mark, but to be honest with you, I mean, we won 3 Premier League titles in a row in 99, 2000 and 2001. And the late noughties were good. Around 2008, wasn't it? 2011 was very, very good as well. I mean, to be honest, it was a fantastic ride under Sir Alex Ferguson anyway, pretty much. From 1999, it was brilliant. 2008 was a great year, says Andrew. Well, I said that to Ryan Giggs, didn't I? And it does get forgotten a lot. We would have won the treble in 2008 if it wasn't for a dodgy ref against Portsmouth. We should have had a penalty and we ended up getting somebody sent off and they beat us in the cup. We would have won the cup. Portsmouth won the cup in 2008. We should have beat them at Old Trafford. We were robbed. And we would have won another treble. Which is why I always say the 2008 against 1999 team is a very valued argument, because you can't just say 99 was better because it won a treble, because 2008 should have won one anyway. Keegan Pillai says Young surely is the worst performer. I literally cringe when he does the 2-minute throw-ins and buys fouls when he literally can't beat his man. Well, he is there to be voted for, Keegan. Make sure you vote for it. Right, I'm going to grab another caller if we've got somebody in there. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Go on then. I mean, it's a bit of a weird one tonight because we're just basically saying have your say on the current United situation, because you have your say. I'm not going to dictate to what you might think.
No, that's fine. It is a very bizarre situation at this moment with the club. When I look at the football that's being played, and I look at Ollie, I know plenty of people said that he's not necessarily the best coach. I think offensively, that's where the problems lie. It's how he approaches in attacks of play, and it's so drab in that. When it comes to actually defensive setup, I can't argue too much, because I don't think many teams have put us to the sword. I know the results have been naff, but every team in each game is only like 1 or 2 chances they're restricted to. So it does feel like it's a massive improvement from last year. But when we are going forward, it looks clueless. It does look clueless. One thing I will say with Ollie's point, from his point of view, is that as a team, we are like just a couple of players, 2 or 3 players that maybe can help us. So for me, from what I've identified with the team so far, I think there's a vulnerability with Victor Lindelof. But at the same time, I think when he's fit, I think Twanzebe should be in that position in terms of his composure. He's quite aggressive. but he does have composure on the ball.
I think he will
at the
do
same
that as
time.
well. I think he will play
Yeah.
Twansebi when Lindelof when he's back, and Lindelof will be on the bench.
Yeah, I look at number 10, or say this cam position with Andres Pereira. I can't. I don't get it with Pereira. I get that he may work hard, but as a cam, you have to have a lot more in your locker. And everybody keeps saying to me, "Yeah, but he's good on the ball, this, that, and the other." I don't see him putting those balls in to Rashford, James, or Martial. It's just not working. I get he may work hard for the team, fair enough, but I want more. If Fred and McTominay, who are, to be fair to him, start to build a partnership. I know people have their issues with Fred, but there is something there which we haven't had before. We've always had a bit of a disconnect in midfield. So you've got those two. Paul Pogba can come in. I know he's injured at this moment in time, but actually, if you've got this partnership developing, then why not put Pogba in that cam position? Let's just see it. People have talked about it in the past. Let's try it out. Because in terms of quality, does he give you that? Absolutely. He is head and shoulders above Andres Pereira. Head and shoulders. Could he link up with Martial, two quite smart footballers? Yeah, he could. But even in that position, I don't even feel like you need that worker, because you've got everybody else working. Dan James works hard. Marcus Rashford is always up and down that line. Whether his end product is in question is nothing, but he does work hard for the team. So when you have that team, all of a sudden, it does feel better, admittedly on paper, but then it's down to Ollie and the coaching staff to improve offensively. And if they can't, then for me, that's where the problems are going to be. I get Ollie may be short in midfield. He may be short with a number 9, and I get that he wants this hard-working Firmino type or Son type forward to back him up. And I've got some players I have in my mind who I want that to be. But if you get those players, the pressure is on him then to start showing us some tangible differences in the team. It's got to be tangible. You've got to see something where, look, position-wise, I kind of don't really care from my personal perspective. If it's like 6th or 8th, where we like. But what I want to see is that tangible change and improvement where you can say, right, it's this that we're a little bit short, and we can improve our team, kick on to that next level, and so on and so forth. A bit like how other teams have done it. You look at Leicester now, you look at how Liverpool did it. It's got to be bit by bit. It's not going to all happen at once. But Ollie's at the same time got to show us some tangible changes there.
Yeah, and to tell you what, I mean, look, I just listening to that, it's very interesting, because I think that, I would come back and say, look, with better players, United would be a better team. And I think you're right, in that number 10 position, I mean, why we didn't get Bruno Fernandes, I don't know. Because you drop Bruno Fernandes into where Lingard and Pogba and Mata have played, and you've suddenly got a player. And I think the reality is as well that you're right. You basically need somebody in that. It could have been Dybala as well. You need somebody in that position who's going to just create, and that we don't have that, and we'd be a better team for that. But my only issue is that we could have bought somebody, and Ollie said the money was there, but I was happy with what I've got. Basically, that was what he said, which is unforgivable. We still see him picking Ashley Young at left back, and everyone knows Brandon Williams is better. So Ollie has to take a large portion of the blame for the way he constructs the squad. I think this is why some people do want to give him time, and is because they feel that if we get better players. But then other people are like, well, he himself said he had the money and he didn't spend it, and he still makes silly selections now that people go, why has he done that? But he will be given time. And that was going to be my next question. Where do you think this is going to end up for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United in your mind?
I feel that I was actually talking to someone just a moment ago before I came in. Fans, and I get why, because the football is dire at times, can be very reactionary. And the more that we drop points, whether it's this 1-0 defeat, I don't think we're going to get slapped by anybody. I think we will always lose by a goal here or there. But these draws and these defeats, it creates discontent. Certainly among more, I'd probably say, fans online. But I feel like the board likes to watch what the fans online have to say, and I think that's quite dangerous. So if it continues the way it is, then I can see Ollie being possibly gone by March time. And I actually feel that he will be given a chance in January. It'd be stupid for the board to keep saying that it's a process. It's a process. We know that we're short up front. We know that we're short in midfield or right wing or wherever. And then just go, no, you're fired when you know where our vulnerabilities lie. It'd make Ed Woodward look so stupid. And the target will be on him, and he doesn't want that. So I think he will ride the storm, get to January, get this striker, whether it's going to be Mandzukic or whoever, and then we will see if it improves. I'm not convinced that we'll get the right players. I know who the players. I feel like I know who the players should be that we get, but I don't think it's going to be that January. It's going to be frustrating, and I just don't think the performances will improve, unfortunately.
Well, thanks for calling in, mate. Really appreciate it, and again, really good points.
Yeah, have a good evening. Cheers.
You too, mate. Thank you very much. Really good callers tonight. I wish we could have got more in, but I think my first half an hour obviously was meant to only be 15 minutes, and I get in a flow, so apologies for that. But we'll definitely do more of those. I really do enjoy it, and do get involved in the Discord. The link's in the video description. I mean, I can't do a run through now because we've been live for an hour, which is quite a long show. We don't normally do a full hour these days, so the way Discord works is if you click the Discord link, it's an app. There are little chat groups in there. There are little sort of forum groups where people talk. I'm going to be jumping on there at about 11 o'clock tomorrow into one of the chat groups. So if you're on Discord and you fancy a bit of a chat at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm going to pop in the Discord group and I'm going to start doing it more and more because I enjoy the chat. So yes, links in the video description for that. Please do smash a like. I think it's been a good video tonight. Subscribe if you're new. I'm just going to finish on this point. Abdullah says none of us have watched Bruno Fernandes play other than highlights. Well, speak for yourself, Abdullah. I mean, there was a couple of games in the summer in the Nations League where he played. So that's 180 minutes I would imagine most people have watched. But I don't tend to start going on about a player being perfect for United if I've only seen YouTube clips. I know some of us do that sometimes and we get caught out by signings like Eric Bailly and we've probably never seen him play or consciously remember seeing him play. But I've certainly seen Bruno Fernandes play a few times and I certainly know that he would be perfect for Manchester United. There's always a risk, but he's definitely better than the crap that we've got. So there we go. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon. Remember to cast your vote in the poll for our end of year United Stand Awards. And if you want to be there, the link's in the video description of last night's video. Get yourself a ticket. It's only a tenner. You get a free drink when you're there. It's going to be a really good evening. Christmas party for the United Stand. End of year awards for the United Stand. Giveaways, a live show, some special guests as well. Right outside Old Trafford at Hotel Football. So make sure you're there. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you soon.